We are pleased to welcome experienced and passionate HR professional Christian Bothe to the ECEC stage. After having worked in various HR roles, specializing in talent acquisition at major companies, he's currently the senior talent sourcer at HZaborowski, a recruiting consulting firm. He believes that recruiting is a two-way street and urges HR professionals and companies to actively provide feedback to candidates, for recruiting is all about establishing relationships.
So, good afternoon from Munich. It's a very good pleasure for me to be here today to talk about sustainability and also the connection to maybe some employer branding topics that you guys also have. And this is always my catchphrase, why every application matters today. On my way here, I was passing a famous Bavarian brewery, and it was, announcing on their bricks on the outside of the building why sustainability is important for them, right? And I was like so surprised that even a brewery from Germany needs to take care or needs to consider sustainability in the communication about their company mission or vision. So let's dive into the topic. And I would like to start off with a little bit about the trends that happened around the topic of talents, in general. So what we have, observed in the last 2 years, maybe, is a higher demand of mobile work. But what comes with it, companies still have a lot of office space, and they feel kind of resistant to change in that kind of hemisphere. Otherwise, the topics or the companies that are willing to change, they really profit at this point in time, because people do think that they want to have a higher flexibility, organizing also their private life. There are partly 50% more vacancies as per February 2020. I will come to that state on my next slide. But on the other hand, the available talents or the number of talents did not increase simultaneously. So we need to think about ourselves, how can I reach the target group that I actually care about? We saw a lot about digitization, and we recently heard the managing director talking about an app, and also recruiting processes are going to be digitized more and more. But still, especially in Germany, we are willing to have more or less a personal interview to make the final hiring decision. And even 40% of all companies in Europe need to take 4 weeks to have a final or first reaction to the applicants, which is really severe. Remember what happens if you want to sell a product and you don't engage with the one who's interested in your product for 4 weeks. He probably will not sell the product, or he will probably not purchase the product in the future. And then the global trends are important. Sustainability, diversity, compliance maybe. But not every company is focusing on that. But we still need to be aware that this is happening and this needs to be included. And furthermore, maybe over the last 12 months, attrition levels are rising across all industries and also countries. Sometimes companies don't have the data available, but it's happening. And everybody can ask themselves, is my department, is my team affected by that? And those are the trends that I want to cover, but to have a common ground, I also want to go to maybe a very objective stat that is happening or can be observed with starting maybe in March or April in 2020, where business expectations were not that positive. And what happened then? The vacancies were decreasing. Companies became hesitant about hiring new employees or even replacing the employees that left the organization. So with that, really maybe a period of 6 to 12 months, depending on the geography, but I wanted to cover the global perspective here, coming from United States, Germany, UK, and Australia, where there are slightly regional differences. But overall, you can see that today, on average, there are maybe 40 to 50% more vacancies. And as I outlined already before, we have not many more people here, yeah, especially in the European countries. We are dealing with also a decreasing number of inhabitants from country to country. And this is where we really need to be aware when we want to grow our business by maybe double digits every year, yeah, and those expectations are there. We need to also take into consideration how to address our target group. And here I want to start with maybe some basics about the branding. And we can always start about a big boom approach, but not today, because I was simply asked to talk 20 minutes today and not for 3 hours. And in this regard, I also want to come into explaining the branding basics about vision, image, and culture. Yeah? So everything that is combined together in a brand concept where we can interact with our target group. The vision is always there. It's the long-term aspiration where the company wants to go, probably set by the board of executives and always reviewed every 2 to 5 years, depending on how fast-paced your business is. Then the culture. Those are the things that we do daily, weekly, hourly, yeah, and where we can really talk about what we do there to make it tangible for the external potential candidate, yeah, to understand what kind of jobs you can offer. As a third part, there's the image, and this is probably the most uncontrolled aspect of branding. The image comes with the messages that you send, and also with the experience that is being done with your part of the organization. For the people, they can only perceive it, but probably not live the everyday working life in your organization. By organization, I would like to clarify this can be yourself, this can be your team, this can be the whole company, even a single location. This can be really different from country to country as well. But not to talk about the big boom again, we would like to focus on the culture. It's really about the things that we do in our team and in our organization, where we can start building a sustainable picture about the jobs that we need to offer. And there, with this focus on culture, again, you can outline it on vision, you can outline it on image, and you can concentrate on every single aspect on its own for hours. But in general, you can ask yourself by starting small and really interacting with your target group. So what is your daily or weekly challenge that you have in your team? Yeah? Why are we growing our business? And really explain this to the target group. And in this case, also, it's allowed and it's also becoming more prominent to have more authenticity by also talking about negative impacts. We always saw in the 12 or 18 months in the recent past that also our global supply chain is highly affected. And the people that started talking about it made their customers or even applicants understand why the challenge is so severe that they might expect their product maybe in 2 weeks and not in 2 days. And when you combine those stories, this is where I want to bring maybe a very famous speaker also to the game today. It's Simon Sinek, who has written a very famous book that's called Start With Why. And he invented those 3 circles, where you can always start by telling your story, starting with why you do it, how do you want to convey the picture, and what is it about. Yeah? So please remember this today. But to have it more tangible for you guys, I also want to be more precise on this. So if you want to focus on what you're doing in your part of the organization, you can build a plan on when to post. Do it twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. You can even do it daily. Yeah? But there's this one rule above all: you need to do it consistently and regularly. Yeah, and regularly makes it consistent. The second part is share what is real. So if stories are made up, people do not believe you. And this is where also sustainability fails. Yeah? If they don't believe you, you cannot gain trust by your audience. And this is also where the people stop following you. And then the third part, authentic expectation setting. We have real stories, and then we have people, telling those stories. And here, being authentic, maybe talk about the culture of failures, that failures are allowed. So maybe we can learn faster. And this authenticity plays a huge role also in the application process when we probably were successful in engaging with our target group. Talking about the stuff that is really not that much interesting. Every job has this aspect. So talk about it, that it's not always this shiny world where everybody is entering in, but there are also downsides of every job that is out there. This fourth part is everybody can share via social media. So choose your communication channels. Choose where you want to be active. And this is also, it's not the big boom that we need to care about, but everybody can start with their stories. Yeah? Think about a single job ad. You can transform this into a video. You can transform this into a story that is being pulled 5 times across various communication channels. And so you get the feedback by your target audience. And the last one would be repeat all the 4 steps before. You will probably get more concepts where you have 7 steps or 10 steps, but I want to really keep it simple. Repeat, build a plan, share what's real, be authentic, and then share via your communication channels of your choice. And then I want to conclude with my last slide. And I want to take on the topics of my first slide in the beginning. We saw that we had a higher demand of mobile work in the recent past. That's why people do not apply for companies that do not offer this flexibility. So maybe start talking about why people need to come to the office 2, 3, even 4 days every week. Yeah? And with this, we really make it tangible. Yeah? The 50% more vacancies, according to the beginning of COVID. Think about maybe upskilling before letting colleagues go externally. Yeah? This is a high chance where, again, some industry really lack the number of people that they actually require right now. So think about it. How long are the business expectations lasting? And maybe it is one of the learnings that the expectations were more positively developing very much faster than expected. The digitization of the recruiting processes. This really enables you guys, if you have a vacancy, to react quickly after an application, after an interview. Those are the steps where you can still surprise. Remember, 40% of all the companies across Europe need to take 4 weeks until the first reaction towards an application. The global trends explain why does your company care about it. Yeah? And really do it over the course of maybe 2 weeks, 4 weeks of stories regarding this topic. So this builds a sustainable perspective and doesn't show only in one story why you're doing this. And one of the last things that I would like to cover, we are always looking to external talent sometimes. But to really think about the attrition levels in your company, you can start sharing the why in your team. Maybe people leave your organization because they do not understand the mission. Maybe they do not really know what's ahead of us in the near future. So start internally to listen what needs to change maybe to get the feedback of them. And with this, I'm happy to exchange further by maybe your questions, and thank you for your attention.